Alrighty. Okay, this is a better setup because I don't know what was going on with the Sagittarius one. I'm like, now what did I do different? My setup was a little bit different. But what's up, y'all? It is a Rainy Storm checking in. Crew, aka Rainy Storm checking in. I am your cosmic rootwork astrologer specializing in evolutionary astrology. As well, I always want to say the North Node is Mars activations. Not trying to say that. If you would like to book a personal reading with me, you can reach out to me on my website at araineystorm.wix.com. All that information will be linked down below. Bookings, courses as well can be found on my website. And so on and so forth. If you are new here on the channel, welcome to me humble abode. I hope you've enjoyed. I don't know exactly what brought you here, but like I said, good riddance. Welcome. Okay. Tidings, and I bid you adieu. I don't even know if those things go together, but hey. All right, so we are getting into the Capricorn moon of the past lives. So we're going to be talking about Capricorn, the moon in Capricorn astrology, and what that means in regards to, like I said, your past life, and also your relationship to your mother. Okay, if you're wondering why I'm going so brazy, I know my energy seemed a little different in the past videos that I had, but I just feel this new resurgence of energy because I know Mars is going into Sagittarius, which for me in Western astrology will be transiting my 10th house. So here we are going all in. Capricorn moon. What are we talking about as far as your ancestry, you old wise sage? Okay, so my Capricorn moons out there, the first thing that I channeled when I started, even before I even put the pen to the paper, is 2 songs. Life, 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 life. And then I got the Mary J. Blige. Life can only be what you make it. When you're feeling down, you should never fake it. What she say? Say what's on your mind, and in time you'll find. What she say? That all the negative energy. Listen, Capricorn moons, blessed, be blessed and blessed, because it is not your ancestors. It was not the easiest life. They had to make some really hardcore decisions in their lifetime and path. A lot of hardcore decisions. It was not a tough life for these ancestors here. This is the energy of the moon. Like we said, we kind of talk about, just to kind of give a debrief of the moon, we talk about like your past, your emotional states, your hidden fears, your hidden desires. Usually I like to talk about the moon as like the bedroom of the house, right? So for those that know you the closest, the people that know you the most, they'll know what that energy, or they'll know what that part of your sector room looks like, right? So with this Capricorn moon, like I said, this is like the sages of the group. They've been here so many lifetimes. They incarnated so many lifetimes. They've probably had a lot of, I mean, of course you grow up and grow out and things like that, but just very older ancestries. And it doesn't necessarily always have to be an age. You could have just had a lot of ancestors that had like this old soul about them. There was something about them that just had this, they kind of like, you go to the, your grandparents' house, and, they sitting on the rocking chair and they're just kind of telling you tales and stuff like that. But, they come from a lot of, this ancestry comes from a lot of like just having to work really hard. And it either it's like a career, or maybe they just had like a lot of responsibility, particularly with whatever it is that they did, or even at home for some people just had a lot of responsibility. Maybe, for example, I don't know why I'm getting this or channeling this, but maybe some of y'all could have had ancestors who maybe their parents passed away at a young age and they had to raise all the kids in the family, or they're the oldest and they had to be the responsibility while the parents, or while the family wasn't, mom and dad wasn't home, or mom wasn't home, or dad wasn't home. So these are some of the things that take on. Or maybe they had a single parent in this particular Capricorn moon, and they maybe had to take the weight of the responsibility and things like that. And so these ancestors were, had a single parent in this particular Capricorn moon, and they maybe had to take the weight of the responsibility and things like that. And so these ancestors were, had a single parent in this particular Capricorn moon, and they maybe had to take the weight of the responsibility and things like that. And so these ancestors were just, you know, having to be in a place, in a positions, or maybe put in places and positions of power. They could have been the ancestors that were a part or affiliated with creating the societies that we live in, or the structures of society that we live in. This Capricorn or moon in Capricorn could have definitely been in this space where, you know, like I said, just old, there's very old, just very old age, old ancient age. Also too, this is like where we see politics, governments, law as well too. Anything that has to do with like I said, just building structurally the ins and out of society. And a lot of times they're focused because a lot of the times maybe your ancestors focused on work or having this sense of like security or wanting to leave their legacy. You know, this is also too where we see generational wealth. Depending on how this Saturnian energy is aspected, you definitely want to see what's going on with your moon here, but this is where you could see a lot of ancestry that had like generational wealth, but at the same time, while they had this generational wealth, maybe they worked so hard that they never really got to enjoy the fruits of their labor. You know, maybe you had ancestors who had like entrepreneurial businesses, or you know, maybe they worked for like a company, or maybe they worked for, you know, a certain place and things, and they just didn't have the money, or they had the money, or maybe they, you know, was pinching pennies for the money and things like that. So money had to go to certain places, you know, to keep food on the table, to keep the home, you know, and things like that. So emotionally, they weren't really, they could have missed out on a lot of Cancerian things, which is the opposite of Capricorn, which is like, you know, just their emotional needs and things like that, just not fully being met because they were trying to, in a sense, provide in whatever way, shape, or form that looked like for your ancestry. This is where you can also see landowners as well, with Capricorn here. Definitely having like deeds, or you know, to, you know, land and stuff like that. Or maybe if they didn't have like an entrepreneurial business, maybe they had like I said, land, or just some kind of ownership, usually of something. Or maybe they owned real estate and things like that, and they had like mass properties or banks and stuff. And you know, they basically acquired this wealth over time, but never really squandered it. I wouldn't even be surprised if some Capricorn moons, you know, especially if you have ancestors or things like that, that usually, like I said, are older, still living. I wouldn't be surprised, this is coming to me right now, but if you had ancestors that like had a stash hidden somewhere of like funds, you know, hidden in the walls, or buried, you know, in the backyard somewhere, or just, you know, and it doesn't necessarily just have to be, you know, finances and, you know, money and things like that, but they could have just left certain things behind, you know, to the family and things like that. They could have even left, like, maybe they had like some books or something, or notes and things like that, that they left to the family. Big on leaving behind a legacy, very much so focused on status, their actual status in society, whether that was a status that was positive, or even a status that might have been a little bit more and could have been like detrimental in a way. But you can also see ancestry, maybe they had like land, you know, provided for people who weren't able to be able to afford housing and things like that. You know, maybe they had, you know, villages and things like that that people could actually stay in and support. Like I said, it all comes down to the aspects and things, but usually a lot of times you'll see a ancestry that was definitely focused on status and power, and having the money and having the resources and things, and you know, stuff like that. Now when it comes to, what do I say, complicated relationships, because I'm obviously dedicated to work, so not to say that they didn't have a love life, you know, and things like that, but their emotions were probably usually filled into the things that they were most passionate about, which was probably their life's work and their life's legacy as well. So just, you might have just found it hard. The ancestry just could have found it hard to be in a place where they were just open and vulnerable about the things that they felt. And this karmic energy trickled down to your now current lifetime here on planet Earth. So when it comes to now trickling down to the mother energy with this here, now I don't think I mentioned it in the other videos, but for those of y'all that are following along, whether you have a Capricorn moon or not, first and foremost, if you like this video, definitely like this video. Make sure y'all click that notification bell, and also please comment down below and let me know what y'all think anytime y'all are looking at these videos. And like I said, link in bio for personal readings and courses as well. So when it comes to the mother relationship, you know, just here in this Capricorn moon, it could have just been a just very difficult life. You know, you might have had a mother who just lived just going through a lot of trials and tribulations, and just maybe there was just a lot of restrictions, you know, personally, that you saw growing up that your mom could have been a part of. You don't necessarily, like I said, she doesn't have to be a Capricorn, but this is just some of the energy that played out. Just, you know, moon and Capricorn, just being in this energy of just having to maybe take responsibility in different ways towards the mother, just being in a place where maybe you just had to pick up some things or pick up some extra responsibilities, because, you know, it could have go a couple of ways. Like, you know, the mom's working very hard to, like I said, to provide, or just the divine feminine energy is working very hard to provide for, you know, this family dynamic and things like that. But sometimes things could have fell short. Maybe she needed some extra support around the house, or maybe she needed just some extra, you know, ends and stuff like that. And but very, very much so focused on like security, having a roof over the head, being able to provide whatever she could. It probably wasn't the most open mother, I would say. Just, you know, maybe she was in just spaces where, you know, she talked about a lot of the stuff. Maybe she talked about a lot of the hardships and stuff that she's been through, and the things that she's went through and things, but she wasn't necessarily the most vulnerable and open with you about not only her emotional state, but your emotional state. You know, so when it came down to the things that you were feeling and the things that you were thinking, you know, there might have just been kind of like sort of like a closed fence to a certain degree. You know, those things weren't always discussed. They were, like I said, just really said way, and kind of like, you know, just tunnel vision focused in making sure that y'all had a place to like sleep. So definitely can rely on you for support, emotionally, financially, physically, even to a certain degree. And this could have just made, you know, could have rubbed you a little bit the wrong way, just growing up and stuff. You know, Capricorn, any sign can be naturally, you know, a little bit critical of this particular, just in general, you know what I mean? But it's just like, wait, why? Like, why, you know, why do I need to do, like, why do I need to do this and why do I need to do that? You know, I have these emotional needs, you know, whether you will full on admit it or not, but deep down inside, you know, I know we sometimes like to say that Capricorn energy is detached from their emotions, but they're not actually detached from their emotions. They feel very deeply about their emotions. They just have a hard time sometimes expressing what that looks like to them. And so sometimes those things could actually just kind of fall short. And so you put your, you know, emotions on the back burner when really you need to be tended to also emotionally. And you don't always have to be the strongest one in the room. So, just saying that all to say, to kind of like, kind of toss it back into the alchemy of this Capricorn moon is, first of all, first thing I would say is probably get yourself around some Cancers if you can, or just people that have that Cancerian nurturing kind of energy, or just tribal kind of energy, to sometimes just help you break away from the monotony of like having this diligent duty or responsibility to the world, or duty and responsibility to the things that you want to do and the things that you want to accomplish. So being around people that can help you just kind of break away from that energy, I think you'll grow to really appreciate the energy, just grow to appreciate the times when you can just kind of let go and hang loose and stuff like that. I'm about to get water wasted. Okay. So that, taking the time to do that, I also would definitely say for Capricorn moons, any moon in general, but I would definitely take the time and space to try to connect with your elder ancestry with this moon here. Just any, like I said, any moon in general, but Capricorn moon specifically just has very old ancestors. Aquarius and Pisces as well too. I would even say Sagittarius. I would even just the whole entire like elder chart, right? And when I say elder, I don't mean that every other time. Like, of course, we have ancestors; they have older age and stuff. But what I mean by this is, like I said, these are like the shamans and sages and people who have reincarnated multiple lifetimes, and they're not just like babies of the game, you know what I mean? They're not just stars that have been born a couple years ago. No, they was, a lot of them was here building the foundations of the world and society. So not all spiritual members are able. So just be discerning of who you allow into your spirit. But I would definitely say, if you could take the time to connect with, your ancestry and get to know your spiritual team and things like that, they can really, I feel like, help you lay your bearings, help you lay some of your stresses and lay some of your worries with them and on them, so you don't have to carry the full load. Saturnian energy is going to test you. It's always going to test you. But I just feel like just having, just the wherewithal to kind of like allow yourself to take a step back and sometimes give yourself the grace that you really do actually need, and just allow the universe sometimes to do its own work in your life instead of you feeling like you have to force the hand. But yeah, that's really what I have for Capricorn moon. I'm gonna move on into Aquarius moons, and then we're gonna finish this week off with Pisces moon. I hope y'all been enjoying this series. I've been debating exactly what I want to do next, but I think I'm gonna jump into, a part of me just like wants to jump into Pluto through the houses for this next series that we're going to be going through, only because Pluto is going to be going into Aquarius in January 2024. So I'm thinking maybe I can go ahead and get a head start. Since we did Pluto through the signs, we could talk about Pluto in the houses and what that looks like for each of the zodiac signs. So I think that's what it's going to be next. So y'all make sure y'all stay tuned for that. And you already know what it is. It's a rainy storm checking in, checking out. Without a doubt. I'll see y'all in the next one.